Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to When the Shift Hits the Fan. And I'm here once again. My name is Mark Jeffrey. I'm here with Linda Lehman, my beautiful, gorgeous co-host. And yes, I did hit the record button tonight, so we will have a replay. And we're everybody say ooh ooh. So tonight we're going to wander around a little bit, and we're going to take up an hour of time just to make up for last week. And I want to thank everyone that was on with us live. And we decided that we weren't going to really repeat last week's. We were just going to kind of continue on with this. And I know, Linda, I've got something I want to talk about because of something that's happened with me over the past week. And we'll talk a little bit about this and some other things. This whole month of April, we're talking about, you know, the rebirth of you and, you know, walking in the path of success and not being shy about it, you know, just going full out there and doing things. And one of the things that happened to me over this past week was, a few women that I had the opportunity to speak with were really talking about how their lack of confidence when it comes to, you know, being in a business, and they seem to be apologetic about it. And I'll give you an example. Well, I'm this, and I do this on the side, like they're not expecting to be super successful with it. It's like almost like you're expecting failure. And it just blew my mind because it wasn't just one or two people. It was almost, Linda, like it was like the prevailing thought process in this room. I mean, wow.
That is amazing, Mark. But you know what? I see that all the time too. It's almost as if people are afraid to say out loud what they're doing. For fear that they'll jinx it or something, or for fear that they're going to receive ridicule from people who don't understand fully what they're trying to accomplish.
Well, you know what, Linda, I kind of get that, but here's what blew me away. This was a room of supportive women, and they were still apologetic. It's I don't know, is it with we as women, we seem to have the most amount of issues. I mean, it's funny because I'll just give you an example here. And again, I wander all over town, so everybody just come on with me. Randy had posted a guy in a Speedo with socks and flip-flops on. And
yep.
And I mean, and the prevailing joke was, hey, you know, I mean, the guy, you know, beer in his hand, belly sticking out. But the thing is, a guy will do that and feel, you know, amazing about himself. Whereas we, you know, we put on 1 extra pound, or we're just not looking the way, you know, some Hollywood star does, and we're looking for a cover-up, and we wear, you know, like those old-fashioned bloomer stupid bathing suits of way beyond or gone by days, because we aren't perfect. And you know, I think that's what even happens with everything. It's, well, I can't see myself doing that because of some ridiculous reason, like I don't have enough time in a day, or my kids get home at 4. That would only leave me, you know, 20 hours during the day to get this done. Like, you know, it's really ridiculous. And I guess I wanted to speak to women tonight, Linda, more than anything, to say, you know, somewhere we have to get our confidence, and we have to know in our heart of hearts that we are amazing women that can do anything. And the day that we start understanding that and walking in those shoes is the day your life changes. It absolutely will change. Here's an example of me.
Mark.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, example of me, I was sitting here on the weekend and I had to go pick up some stuff at the store. And I was going in and I thought, oh, I'll go put on my makeup and whatever. And then I thought, you know what? Why? I mean, you're fresh faced, you look good, put your hair in a ponytail and just go out there and just be you. Now, did anybody stop in the middle of the aisle and go, oh my God, she's not wearing makeup. Can you believe it? No, nobody did that.
But I have to ask you a question. Did you march proudly and confidently up and down the aisles, or did you kind of slink?
Well, I'm not sure I know how to slink.
Good. Because sometimes when some women do that, they think, oh, I can do this, and then they get to the store, and it's almost as if they try to hunch down and hide so that nobody will see them. Of course, those are usually the times you run into absolutely everybody on earth that you know that day.
Well, exactly. I used to always think this, too. It was funny to me because I would see women going to the store with curlers in their hair, and I always thought to myself, where are you going that you're not wearing curlers in your hair? You're outside. Did anybody, so sometimes, but to me, that's like kind of cool though, because you're going out there and you got your curlers in. Maybe you got a hot date that night, but you got to pick up the groceries and feed your kids too. So you go to the store with curlers in your hair, and you don't care what anybody thinks. Now, I'm not saying that you should just not look after yourself, not eat properly, exercise, and do all those things, and don't care about that. But what I am saying is that you really have to start loving yourself a lot more and giving yourself a hell of a lot more credit for the amazing women that you are.
Absolutely, Mark. And I look back on my own life, and I am sure that some of the women listening can relate to this, because it took me a long while, to come out of my own shell. I remember growing up, and I want to preface this, I had wonderful parents. I had a wonderful childhood. Believe it or not, I was that shy little girl who would hide behind my mom, when other people were around. But a lot of what we believe about ourselves comes from our childhood. It comes from us as a youngster interpreting what's going on around us based on our limited knowledge at the time. What I mean by that is I remember, now I was a middle child. I had an older brother and then eventually a younger brother. He came along about 5 years after I did. But my older brother and I were about a year apart. And my older brother is very adventurous, and he would go out and he would do things. And then, I started watching this, and I caught on very quickly, as most children do. I would wait and see if he got in trouble before I would. Right? But repeating that over and over again, and then kind of applying that same analogy as an adult, I realized, thank goodness, I finally realized that I was not stepping out and being courageous on my own for fear that I might get in trouble, because as an adult, there was nobody else there to pave the way to see if they got away with it or not. And so for the longest time, I'll confess, I had a very, very strong lack of confidence in myself, in my abilities and what I could achieve. And so it took me a long time, Mark. It took me a lot of soul searching. And I know that this may sound vain at first, but when I started stepping out with my confidence was when I made one small little change. I went from wearing glasses to contacts. Small change, but it was just an internal stigma of myself that I didn't think that I was attractive with my glasses. And so when I got my contacts, it's almost like I was a totally different person. But what that did, Mark, is it just kind of allowed me to step away from and outside of that youngster from a long time ago and start experimenting with other things, because I had that boost of confidence, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, yeah, ooh, I can do this. I'm looking in the mirror and I like what I see. And I used to start telling myself that. And then as I started repeating that over and over again, and again, guys, this isn't to be vain. It's really an exercise in building your confidence when you take that self-talk and you start talking positively to yourself and saying, hey, you look good.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you were very clever in what you said to that guy who was so cute today. And so that just really started something in motion for me. Now, some people grab that momentum sooner, and some people grab that momentum later. But sometimes, especially when we're trying to step out and do new and different things, like be in our own business, I think sometimes the easy route is to all of a sudden become that little girl again and jump behind mama's skirts.
Yeah, could be there. It's funny. I think actually, as you're talking, I just swiveled around and I was looking at a picture, and my brother and sister and I don't know. My sister must be maybe 1 or 2. I might be 3 or 4. My brother's older, and here's the thing. I have a curl in the middle of my forehead, and there was that. That poem, there was a little girl with a curl in the middle of her forehead. When she was good, she was very, very good, but when she was bad, well, I had that latitude from that picture, from the day. Because my mom would do that. She would, I have curly hair, and there would be this one curl that she'd make go on my forehead. Every picture from when I'm little. So I'm going, she instilled in me the latitude to be whatever I wanted to be. I could be good when I wanted to be good. I could be bad when I wanted to be bad, because I had a curl on the middle of my forehead. And so,
I love it.
Yeah, but going back to childhood, I can honestly say I took latitude with that because I was given permission. My mom gave me a curl, and she told me the poem, and I'm going, I'm in. I can run with that. And I think you're right. I think and then our teen years, that affects us amazingly. I wasn't from the hot group back then. I wasn't that. I was just kind of middle of the road, straight down. Someday I'd be on the geek side, some days I'd be on that side. I just have lived my life in the comfort of being whoever I really want to be, and I really do. I feel so bad. I know I don't want to be facetious about this. This is the honest to God truth. I feel so bad that it hurts my heart when I see a woman say to me, when I put out a post like on Facebook and say, hey, cool day to be resilient, and I get back, easier said than done. It hurts me.
Mhm. Yeah, because you and I both know that we can be resilient anytime we want to be. And it's a very wonderful place to be.
Yeah,
it's not hard. It's a choice. But I can see if you're still that child hiding behind your mom's skirts, that you think that coming out front is very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, see, and that's another thing that happened to me too. I was following my mom's skirt in a store, and then I looked up and it wasn't her. It was some other lady. So that was my second thing you're on your own now, kid.
You survived it. You didn't die. The hole didn't open up in the middle of the floor.
No.
It was up.
No, and it was really funny because I remember that. And of course, obviously I remember it because I recount it. And oftentimes when I'm on stage, I talk about this because that was a moment of, sheer terror for about 2.5 seconds. And then even as that small child, able to say, you better figure this out because this is not your mother. And, stopping and looking around and then retracing my, steps to figure out where was the last time I really, was paying attention. And now, even to this day, I pay attention to more things going on in my life. So it lets me not get pulled so far off the center, either good, because we can get whacked about good things and not look at, not be cautious, right? And the bad things. Nothing hurts as much. I just, those couple of instances in my life, people say that, you grow up and all of those things, are who you are, who you become as an adult. Of course, you add the, the adult flavor to that. But I really do think I am fortunate. I will say that no matter the crappy things that have happened in my life, I'm fortunate because I had the skills and the support and the guts to ask for help when I needed it without any kind of reservation, without, I was confident enough to say, no, you are going to help me. That's your job right now. And I know, and you and I both know, I watch people die every day because they can't ask that of their doctors. You would have gone through a much different course of action with your treatments had you not, put your slipper down and said, wait a second, I have a voice here. And it bothers me, Linda, that how many women don't have that voice. How do we give that to people? I mean, Linda, we got to figure out a way that we can give that somehow, the mechanism or the tools for women to just know that they can make decisions and not be apologetic and to fall and scrape their knees and understand that that's cool. It's good.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, gosh, when we first learned to walk, we fell down all the time. And most of the time we laughed about it. And we got back up again. I think, Mark, as simple as this sounds, I think that this is, for some of our listeners especially, it's the first step. And here it is. If you're listening, Mark and Linda give you permission to make your own decisions and to do what it is that your heart is telling you that you want to do. You have our permission. Now you can go forward.
There you go. It's time to shift or get off the pot.
Yep, that's right. It's time to shift or get off the pot. and you have our blessings. You have our permission. You can do it. So for those of you who have been waiting for that little voice to say, it's okay, you can do this, here it is. It's okay, you can do this. It's time. It's your time. It's your time to shine. We all have this brilliant light inside of us. There's no reason to put a lampshade on it. Honey, take that shade off and let it shine. In the end, nobody's going to be judging you because you stepped out and followed your dreams. They're going to be applauding you and looking at you going, man, I wish I had done that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you guys, I mean, do you think that when we started this show, we had an idea. We wanted to do something. We wanted to help people. We have two voices. We have different perspectives on things, and thought, hey, let's just go out there and do this every Monday night. And and it wasn't even, I don't even think, Linda, it was let's see what happens. We're just going to do this.
Right.
And I guess on some level, if we went week after week after week and nobody listened to us, we might rethink the format. But I don't think we'd stop doing the show because it's what you and I want to do. And it's like us here, you and I, it's like our conversation and like many conversations that we simply have. We talk about the things that make us stronger, but not very often the things that tear us down. Every once in a while, we need that support and we ask for it. and know that the other person's going to be there without fail. But we don't often talk about, crappy things. It's always, it's a good day. I mean, if I do something silly like not press the record button, I felt really bad about that. But Linda goes, whatever, better shows to come, see ya. And so I kind of go, yeah, maybe I should just walk away from that one and not worry about it, So there's a good balance there, and I think that that's important for me. I have a lot of girlfriends, and they are always supportive of who I am as a person. And that's resilience. That's cultivating the proper people in your life that help you and support you to be resilient, not the people that are going to tear you down. And family, as we've talked about, right, Linda? Family can be the worst. They can be the worst enemies, even in their well-being, but they can just be horrible for your self-being, that's for sure.
They can be, and I think that's probably one of the hardest tugs that we have is when we realize that we're face to face with a family member who, in their own heart of hearts, they think that they're being supportive, but they're not, because what they're doing is that they're being judgmental and they're applying their fears of what it is that you're doing or trying to do. They're applying their own fears and their own limitations to that conversation with you. And so instead of being supportive, they're being very negative and judgmental and not even being open to listening to your thoughts and ideas on it. So you've gone to them for support and saying, hey, this is an idea that I have, or this is what I'm doing, and then they're just trashing it. And, again, it's because of their own fear, and it too can be because they see subconsciously that you are making changes. They like the status quo. They don't want you to change, and so they're going to try to sabotage that. Not on purpose. They're actually letting their subconscious, their imagination, imagine the worst, and that's what they're being guided by. And you know what? As hard as it is, Mark, in those situations, if you really want to improve yourself and then go back and show that, look, this was a great idea, I made it, sometimes you have to limit your exposure to those family members.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying disown them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying limit the time that you spend around them, and only go around them when you've spent some time on yourself, making certain that you are in that very positive, energized, empowered mindset, so that when they come up with the negative, then you can let that bounce off of you. You can, what I like to say is, step aside and let it go past. Plus, you may be strong enough with your high level of energy and empowerment that it's only going to tap into the good that you see in them anyway, and they may not even broach it at that point in time. So it may be okay.
Yeah. And, there is something to be said for sibling rivalry. There is a lot of that. I know in my family there is, and so I know that I've downplayed success in some cases just to kind of even out the waters. And I don't say too much about some things that I'm doing for that reason alone, and it's tempering everything around you. But I'm kind of in a way, doing just what Linda said, is I'm just, sidestepping it a little bit, where maybe I don't bring it up. I don't come into a family dinner and go, woo-ha, just made $1 million. Oh, yeah, right. No, okay. And, I wouldn't do that. If they're asking me how my business is going, I might just, hey, pretty good. But tempering things out, because recognizing that it could, because there is this rivalry, and it's always been there, that it could make it an uncomfortable dinner. Well, I just don't go there. And these are things that we have to, learn with our friends and our family and things like that. But I think that doesn't diminish the confidence that we should feel. You don't have to express it, but that internal talk is really important. And I mean, if you look at any really good athlete, and we talked about this last week, for those that you might have missed it, is, making that plan, that action, and doing the follow through and imagining things in your head and really thinking things through. But by the same token, athletes talk to themselves. And I just watched a program it was on a news show about the marathon coming up here, and one of the gals that is from Boston is going to be running in it, and she was talking about her preparation for this, and in talking to her legs, yeah, you can do it. You got the strength, you got the power. I can feel the oxygen, feeding you. I mean, that whole time that she's running, she's talking to her legs, because who is powering this? Her legs, right? So I guess, Linda, maybe people have to think about what powers you.
Exactly, and I like you bringing up the athletes again, and the positive self-talk on talking to your legs and visualizing your success at the finish line. Maybe you visualize yourself coming in first, and I think that's awesome. You can do the same thing if you know that you're going to encounter or like go to a family dinner or be around family members that haven't been all that supportive. You can use this same principle. You can sit down before you get there and visualize the outcome, the conversations, the successful conversations that you would like to have, the loving environment that you would like to have with this particular encounter. And you're going to be amazed at how these things flow through and how they work out pretty much the way you visualized it. Now, what happens with most people, you can think about this. The times that it didn't go well with your family, you probably, before you got there, started telling yourself, oh, I'm dreading this. They're going to be down on me. They're going to be negative. They're not going to understand my dream and what I'm trying to accomplish and blah, 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 blah. Debbie Downer, guess what? You are psychic because it happened exactly the way you predicted. Am I right?
Absolutely. What you asked for it. I mean, you simply
asked for it, got it.
You dished that one right up, and that's by. I mean, even that response today on the comment on my post, easier said than done. It was like, why give up on yourself so easily? Or whatever knocks you down so far that you cannot get back up again. And you got to find a way, because you're just bloody worth it. But it takes work. This isn't something, I get up every day and I'm just like, sun shining all the time. No, I've got my rants in my life, and I actually let loose with them because it makes me feel better. It lets me allow it to leave. If I hold things in, for me, that's not a cool thing for me to do. For other people, it might work for them. For me, it's not. I've just got to say what I got to say and move on. And you got to find the way to deal with this. And bouncing back, when you're down, when you've been knocked down, and let's say in this particular case, it had nothing to do with you. It was, you did the best you could, but you still failed, or you looked after yourself the best that you knew how, but you still got, something, disease, or you got sick, or, it had nothing to do with you being negligent at all in any way, shape, or form. You did the best that you could, and you let that keep you down. That is so mean to yourself. Nobody could be more mean to you than you are to yourself in that moment in time, to not be able to say, I have the power within me to make it through this.
Absolutely, Mark. And I think that a couple of things. When some days don't go well, and I do know this about you. You've told me you do go on a rant. You do allow yourself to get angry, but you're not getting angry and telling that same angry story over and over and over and over and over again to every person that you come across.
Oh, no. Well, one time I'm done.
Exactly.
I just need it to be released, like the pressure valve.
Yeah. You release it instead of every time you tell a story, you're reliving that. You're reliving the feelings. You're reliving the whole thing. So if you're down and out, you've fallen, and right now you're angry, you're upset, you're disappointed, go ahead and feel those feelings. Let them come through as a wave. And as Mark says, let them release, but then let it go. Pick yourself up and say, okay, well, it didn't work this way, so obviously I need to make a course correction because I still want this or that, or to accomplish this or that. I still want this, or I want my perfect health. So I'm not going to, I've released this, it's on. But Mark, so many people will stand around the water cooler and I guess recruit members to what Jack Canfield calls the Ain't It Awful Club.
Misery loves company.
Misery loves company, and it recruits incredibly well.
It surely does.
Why don't watch the news anymore? Because what is it? Bad news sells. Drama sells.
Yep.
And so I choose not to be a part of that because I like it when I feel good. I like it when I'm on the top of the world. I like it when I spring out of bed in the morning and go, woo-hoo, I can't wait to see the adventures I'm going to take today. I like that. And I'm not going to allow anything or anybody to bring me down. And I think that's the point that our listeners need to be.
Exactly. And, it's funny, too, talking about the news, because a lot of people ask me that. They say, something will come up, blah, blah, blah. And I know nothing about it, because I don't watch the news. I mean, if I'm in an airport and that's the only thing that's on there and I want to go brain dead for a couple of minutes, I'll do that. But I don't even know what is being said. But I miss a lot of the drama. And it doesn't ever hurt me. I mean, I've been told even by people, well, the view of the world that you have is ignorant. And I'm going, well, then I'm happy in my ignorance.
Exactly. Important things, when important things or important world events happen, I do hear about it, but I'm not hearing about it from the viewpoint of some newscaster who's trying to paint it into something more horrible than it is. Instead, if I hear about something, then I can do my own research and see what facts that I can glean out of this without becoming emotionally involved with it.
Yeah. And I think, and that's like, let's take that into business, from a business standpoint, your own business, something you're trying to build. And how many times has it happened to you that you started in something, whatever business it is, and there's many, many good ones. We're not going to talk about good, bad, and ugly in there. But you started a business, and then you started marketing it, for instance, and then you started going on Facebook, and, or your email address is out on the net now so people can figure out who you are and, send you emails about their own stuff. And you thought this was a great idea, you were really going to get involved, and then all of a sudden other people who know nothing about your business but just want to promote their own and get you involved because they know that you're interested in working from home, you started doubting what it was that you actually wanted to be involved in. You know, you started doubting your adventure. And that's almost like, for me, Linda, that's like when you go somewhere and you take a trip and you never speak up about what you want to do. You just kind of go with what everybody else is doing, and then you go home and you go, everybody else is going, oh man, that was an amazing time. And you come home going, yeah. Like, whose fault was that?
Yours, and yours alone.
Exactly. But that's the same thing in your business. Like, if you chose something, and let's say, I mean, I chose things when I first started that didn't work. I mean, I knew that really deep down I wasn't passionate enough about it to keep it up. And there was some major challenges that kind of came with the game, and I gave them up and never looked back. I looked for something else, and an opportunity knocked on my door, and I was right there to open it up and say, yeah, like that, and got involved with something that, you know, has sustained the last 7 years and has made me good money, and has taught me a lot of things about myself and about the business, and allowed me to be involved with other people that are much better at, you know, promoting and doing things that I might do, or give me different angles on how to build my business. And I've been offered a gazillion things in that time frame, but I've never strayed, because what I want and what I see and what I know is what I have. Like what you have, the grass isn't greener over there. I like my grass. It's nice and fertilized, it's nice and green. So, you know, maybe you guys, when you're thinking about things like that, you know, have that attitude. If you picked it, if you like it, don't let other people tell you that there's anything wrong with it. Because it might be that it's something wrong with them, or they're just trying to get you into their business so they can make money off of you. You have to be careful out there.
You do, and do your research. And you know, I definitely agree with you. I mean, if you've picked it, then I think we go back around to the confidence thing. You picked it for a reason, or it picked you. You felt really good about it, and this is the horse. This is the horse you're riding. So ride it. And then, you know, if for some reason it doesn't work out the way you had planned, it doesn't work out, you know, again, that's just some feedback and a course correction. Instead of being down on yourself, you know, look at everything that you learned in this experience. And maybe that's why you chose that one, was to learn, so that in your next choice, you're more knowledgeable about what it is you truly want and the business direction that you want to take. I think one of the best pieces of advice that I received from my mentor, Bob Proctor, was when you are in the beginning stages of a dream that you want to achieve, hold it close to your chest. Percolate it yourself. Percolate it with your desire as it grows stronger and stronger. Only share it with someone that you absolutely trust and know that that person will support you in your endeavors. There's so many people find something and they just go blabbing it, but they don't have the full knowledge of it yet.
Yep.
And they don't have it embedded in their soul yet, so that they're strong enough to step aside from the negative attacks, the people trying to pull them back down again, keep them the same, people who don't understand. You know, we as a human race will ridicule things we don't understand. And so if you're getting ridiculed by someone, it may just be because they don't understand your dream. And really, nor should they fully understand it, because it's not their dream, it's yours. So hold it tight and hold it close and let it grow and percolate. Mm-hmm. And only share it with those that you know will support you.
Absolutely. And, you know, and I know we get really, you know, really exuberant about things when we find something that we really like. And it can be anything. A new diet, yeah, new face cream, different kind of car. I mean, you know, you like it. It doesn't mean that the rest of the world has to like it in order for you to like it. This isn't a consensus game, okay? It isn't like if the majority rules, then I will use this face cream. Who cares? You know, if it works on your face and you like it, yeah, then you should use it. You know, if you like driving a car, drive it.
I'm going to make my own face cream.
Well, you know what? My grandma said mayonnaise works really good, so, you know. But the whole point of tonight, I think, was we're talking about, you know, shifting from the reality that you know of today. If you're happy, we applaud you because you're in a state of grace. If you're not happy, you need to start making some massive moves here. From my perspective, it was funny. I was watching a thing tonight on sugar. I mean, sugar is the big buzzword now. We should never have it. It's addictive. I'm going, gosh, it took you all this time to figure that one out? I mean, come on, give your head a shake. But, you know, it's that. But that's the thing. You got to cut it off totally. You can't tippy-toe around it and say, well, I'll just eat chocolate at Easter and Christmas, and I won't eat it because it changes neural patterns in your mind, and it doesn't matter. It's hardwired, right? So you have to completely stop eating it in any way, shape, or form in order to never, and you're never going to not crave it because it's like any drug. It is what it is. It's like any drug. You're always going to crave it. It's just that you will find ways to, you know, not crave it as much or distract yourself from it or, you know, do whatever you need to do in order to, you know, kick the habit. And it's a big deal for us in the cancer arena because we know that sugar, people who are addicted to a lot of sugars, drinking pops, candy bars, you know, things like that, don't do well in treatment. They don't do well in treatment because they're counteracting their body being able, their own defenses. And it's just like you're a drug addict, you're a sugar addict, and that's just the way it is. So if you're a non-confident person, you got to kick that habit. Start making some massive moves like I said, don't put on any makeup one day. Walk through the store loud and proud. Here I am in all my glory. And I'll betcha, you know, that nobody says anything about it. Like, oh my God, did you know she wasn't wearing any makeup? Like, how could she leave the house without having makeup on? Right? Nobody's going to say that.
Right. And you know what, Mark? We talked about giving people tools. Another tool is, you know, we gave them permission, so that was tool number one. Another tool in building this confidence, you know, doing something that you haven't done, something that's outside of your comfort zone, and that's repetition of that activity. Because it was repetition in some form or fashion that kind of put that lack of confidence in there, the limiting belief or that belief that you're not worthy or whatever it is. It was repetition that put it in there. So it's going to be repetition that changes it, that pulls it out and makes it into something that's going to serve you better. So make it a game. And, you know, as Mark said, if it's confidence, maybe every day for a week, go to the store with no makeup on, or maybe make it a
go everywhere with no makeup on.
Everywhere. Talk to 10, just go up to 10 strangers and shake their hand and give them a smile. You know, there's really interesting conversations that you can get involved in when you just spark up a conversation with a stranger. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But for some, especially people who don't have that self-confidence, it can be very scary. But after you do it, you'll go away from that conversation smiling to yourself and thinking, golly, that's a really nice person. You know, I am so grateful that I had this connection today.
Yep. Well, and you learn stuff, too. Like, I'm always a proponent of this. Like, if I'm in a pot and pan, or I'm looking for a tool for my kitchen or something like that, or whatever, or I'm at a, electronic store, whatever. I'm always asking other people, that they're people I don't know in the store, not the helpers, but I'm looking, the lady's looking, and I might say, I'm looking at a set of pots and pans, and I might say to the lady standing there, do you know about any of these brands? Do you have one of these at home? Because, and I did that before I bought my truck too. Every time I saw somebody driving it, I ran over to them and asked them how they liked it. I must have talked to about 50 people, because I know what the salesman's going to tell me, but I want, what year is this? How long have you had it? Would you sell it? Would you get another one? Because I wanted, the value of other people's opinions. And I think I do that with my business. I do that with where I'm going to get my leads from for my business. I hook up with the people that I know are uber successful, not somebody who's trying to get me into their business by, giving me, a false sense of security, but people who are good at it. I mean, I go to events where I can meet the people that are, just slamming it right now, and I get all the information that I need to build my business. And the thing is, I don't have to worry about the fact that they're trying to get me in their business, because they're not selling it, right? That's not what they're doing. So I'm getting great information, and then I utilize that information. And what does that do? It builds my confidence.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then I teach other people.
Exactly. I tell you what, that's a big confidence builder too. When you learn something, learn enough about something else to be able to teach it to someone else, that's a huge boost in confidence. Plus, you learn what you were setting out to learn about even better, because you're going to have to teach it to somebody else.
Mhm. Yeah, and you know what? You don't have to be a superstar. Let's talk about somebody that's not very confident or very, very shy, and let's say they do this. They pick something that they're going to do that day that's going to take them out of their comfort zone, and they write a little Facebook post about it or a blog post about it, and say that today I'm going to conquer a fear that I've had all of my life. I'm way too shy. I'm not making friends. When I'm in a room, everybody intimidates me. And tonight I'm going to put on my red dress and my stilettos, and I'm going to this function, and I'm going to shine like nobody's ever shined before. And see what happens.
I'd like to go to that party, because I know what's going to happen.
Exactly. But that person the next day, you'd be, their blog post or their post on Facebook would be so much different than the shy person that was standing there thinking that this is not possible for me.
Mhm. And I bet you that shy person who stepped out in their beautiful red dress was celebrating like crazy for several days after that.
Exactly. So that, what does that do? Boosts the confidence even more. Exactly. And so you're just a confidence rocket.
Wow, Mark, we have just really slammed tonight's show full of wonderful tools and tips.
Well, I hope so, Linda, because like I said, it just really hurts me, particularly with women, that they just find it so hard for the most part to make their way in the world. And it's funny too, because you and I both know some women that come off as very confident to almost to the point of being abrasive, and arrogant. And when you know them in other ways, you realize that that's just a facade that they're hiding behind, and never get the true gift of that internal confidence. It's so there's different types of people in the world too that don't always think that somebody that's blasting off in one way is really confident enough to actually help other people without any kind of monetary or any kind of gain whatsoever. You know, that they simply, I know on the internet and when you're working on this online world, you'll hear a lot of it, like give value. And we talked about this too. I said, if you have to say you're giving value, are you really? Wouldn't that be apparent and evident?
Right. If you were truly giving value, why would you have to talk about the fact that you're giving value?
Follow me. I give value. Okay.
Okay.
How about if you just give me value and I don't have to follow you? How would you feel about that?
Right. And then I'll follow you if I choose to.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Be careful who you do follow. You know, you can end up in a world of hurt sometimes if you don't make good decisions out there. Like, you know, you really have to do your research. And that's, I mean, and that's the spoil sport to all of this too, right, Linda? We're talking about being confident and going out there, but you can really get slammed hard to the ground by false prophets. That's what we'll call them. People that are spouting off that, you know, they're the end-all, be-all, and they're not. You know, and if you do your due diligence before you give people money, you know, I mean, the internet will give you all the information you need. If you see people saying that this isn't good, don't think that it's sour grapes. You know, maybe think that perhaps this isn't the best environment for you.
Right. And, you know, some research might mislead you a little bit. You just really have to use some common sense and apply that to it. I mean, I don't think that there's a business out there that doesn't have, you know, maybe one or two naysayers. And it may just be they thought that they could buy into it, put their feet on their desk, and they would make millions without making any effort at all. And so when it didn't work, then they may be some of the first ones to throw some negative reviews out there. But again, I think with careful, diligent research, you're going to be able to see through those versus the legitimate negative attributes of the company or behaviors of a company before you invest into it. You know, if you're looking at Better Business Bureau and they're not responding to complaints and there's a lot of complaints about not being paid the way they were told they would get paid, that's a red flag.
Yep, it is. And here's the other thing, too, that you always have to keep in mind, that when you're looking at reviews of something, so are the people that you may be wanting to bring into your business. So if they're reading all this bad press about something, it's going to be a lot harder for you to be able to market that business. And it may be great, but some people go way off the rails because some are young. I mean, we know that. There's some very young people out there just starting off their own little companies, and, you know, they're all, you know, well, for lack of a better word, piss and vinegar. And they, you know, go off half-cocked on everything and drag a whole bunch of people down with them. It happens. They're young, you know, and there are some sharks out there who know how to craft an offer very, very well so that they can get as many people as they can, and then they're just off to the next one. And that's what it is. But you know what, Linda, really, is that any different than the real world? No, it's not. You're going to meet people like that. And when you feel like when you and I, you know, when you walk into a room and somebody comes up to talk to you and you kind of get that EBGB feeling, I don't think you should ignore it.
No, I think you should listen to it. And so many times people will shove it aside and not listen. That's your intuition sending up a flare of warning, and you need to take heed. Your intuition, your gut, is not going to steer you wrong. We choose to ignore it a lot of times, but it won't steer you wrong. You know, even if somebody is looking maybe not to go into business, but even looking, Mark, to improve their position by taking a different job. You know, a job interview is not just for the company to interview you. A job interview is for you to also interview the company.
Absolutely.
And you should put as much diligence into asking questions and doing your research on that company as you would your own business, your own company that you might be looking at.
And I think people now with today's, market climate, the bad vibes that everybody's put out there about, the economy's bad, nobody has jobs and stuff like that. But then, I see a lot of help wanted signs everywhere I go, even when I'm traveling in the States. So I mean, there is jobs out there. I mean, and I truly believe that if you really work on your talents, bring the skills, you're going to be the person that people are going to hire. And it's but again, understand something. I think I would probably hire the person that asked me questions rather than the person that sat there and just answered mine. The person that asked me questions, I would just inherently know you're interested enough to care about that, and I care about you. So I think that's vitally important, Linda, what you brought up about that.
Mhm. Yeah, and just because you've bought into, and I hope you're not buying into the news that there's no jobs and stuff out there. I'm going to revisit that for a second, because for the really, really true good employees, those people who want to do a great job, who do their research, those that ask the potential employer questions, there's always going to be a job out there for you, even if the job is filled by somebody else right now. If you really pursue your passion and get out there and say, you know what, Mr. CEO, I want to work for you, and this is what I bring to the table, or do you have a few minutes? Can I take you to lunch? Let's talk. Those are the people that companies are hiring, because they know that they, in this day and age, it's quality, really, this coming back around, and that people are looking at more. I want good quality people working with me, and I want good quality products and services that I can give to my customers, and so it's all about finding the right fit, the right people to get on the bus that'll take us forward and help us grow. So whether it's your own business or whether it's a business that you just have a passion for, that you want to work for or with someone else, do your research and show them that you have that passion, and you will be successful. Even if you have to start at the bottom, you will be successful.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? And you can go up for anything. And I know, oh God, here we are running out of time again. I'm going to be quick on this one. Is there's a company that's out there that I want to bring the products into Canada, and it's been a nightmare for me to do this. And interestingly enough, I'm a nobody to these people. It's a big company, and they've got lots of celebrities involved in it, and sales beyond, who am I, right? But I can get the president of that company to phone me because I want to know why they don't have it in my country. And that's by being proactive and asking, who's the president? I need to talk to him. I need answers to this. You're not giving me the answers I need. So don't be afraid. I mean, that's confidence, right? But what's he going to do, shoot me through the phone? No.
No.
So here we are. This has been, I love this show particularly because it was for the women. And I hope that in some small way that we've given you a boost that you can take into something, and that you'll feel more confident about yourself and more, you are all that. You just simply are, and take that and run long and hard with it. So Linda, last word is yours, my friend.
Well, thank you, Mark. I actually want to share a poem with our listeners tonight. It's by James Metcalf, and it's called It's Up to Me. I get discouraged now and then when there are clouds of gray, until I think about the things that happened yesterday. I do not mean the day before or those of months ago, but all the yesterdays in which I had the chance to grow. I think of opportunities that I allowed to die, and those I took advantage of before they passed me by. and I remember that the past presented quite a plight. But somehow I endured it, and the future seemed all right. And I remind myself that I am capable and free, and my success and happiness are really up to me.
I like that. I like that a lot. So take that with you tonight, my friends. And from Mark here in Canada, good night, everyone.
And from Linda down here in Florida, good night.